I never thought borrowing my sister's clothes would feel like stepping into a completely different world. My name is Alex, and I've always been curious about fashion in ways my friends didn't understand. Growing up, I admired how my sister, Lily, could transform herself effortlessly, skirts that flowed like water, makeup that highlighted every feature, and a confidence that made people notice her without even trying. I had always wanted to experience that thrill, but I kept it hidden, afraid of judgment. It all started one ordinary Saturday afternoon. The house was quiet, with Lily out at her part-time job and Mom running errands. I was alone, wandering through her room, eyes catching on a neatly folded outfit, a soft pastel blouse paired with a pleated skirt that swayed like silk. My heart raced. I knew it was wrong, taking her clothes without permission, but the temptation was irresistible. I carefully picked it up, inhaling the faint scent of her perfume lingering on the fabric. The excitement coursed through me, a dangerous thrill I hadn't felt in years. I slipped into the bathroom, shutting the door behind me, my hands trembling as I changed. The moment the skirt brushed against my legs, I felt a strange, intoxicating shift. It wasn't just the fabric, it was the persona it created. I looked into the mirror, adjusting the blouse, smoothing out the wrinkles, and running my fingers through my hair. For a brief moment, I didn't see Alex. I saw Lily's reflection, mirrored through my own features. The transformation wasn't complete yet. I grabbed her eyeliner, carefully tracing along my eyelids, my hand shaking slightly with nerves and excitement. I had tried makeup before, secretly, but never like this, not with the full outfit, not with this level of immersion. When I finally stepped back and looked at the mirror, I could hardly recognize myself. My face seemed softer, my eyes larger, my posture more feminine. I felt vulnerable, yet exhilarated, like I had unlocked a hidden side of myself I didn't know existed. But it wasn't just about curiosity or experimentation. There was a deeper, unspoken thrill in the secrecy. My girlfriend, Emma, thought she knew everything about me, but she didn't know this side of me, this part that longed to explore femininity, to step into someone else's shoes, literally and figuratively. I imagined her reaction, her teasing smile, and the rush of adrenaline intensified. Would she be amused? Supportive? Or would she see this as a betrayal, a secret I shouldn't have kept? The house was silent, amplifying every sound, the soft rustle of fabric, my own heartbeat, the faint hum of the refrigerator. I practiced walking across the bathroom floor in Lily's skirt, feeling it sway with every step. The sensation was mesmerizing. Each movement was new, delicate, and oddly empowering. I tilted my head, examining my reflection, imagining how people would react if they saw me like this. The thought both thrilled and terrified me. I remembered last week at school when Lily had worn the same outfit for a presentation. Everyone had complimented her, whispered, and stared. The attention she commanded had fascinated me. And now, as I stood there in her clothes, I realized the power the outfit held, not just in terms of appearance, but in the way it transformed the energy around a person. It was intoxicating. I wanted to experience that recognition, that admiration, even if just for a short while. A sudden sound startled me, a creak from the hallway. I froze. For a moment, panic surged. What if someone came home early? What if Mom or Lily returned before I had the chance to revert to my normal self? My fingers clutched the skirt nervously. But then, the adrenaline shifted into daring. This was my moment. I had the chance to step fully into this persona, to see how it felt, to understand the thrill and danger of living in someone else's skin. By the time Lily's blouse and skirt were perfectly in place, and my makeup subtly accentuated my features, I felt transformed. Not just physically, but emotionally. I felt more daring, more alive, and strangely, more like myself than I had in years. I stared into the mirror, letting my gaze linger on the reflection that was neither completely Alex nor completely Lily, but a fusion of both. I knew the next step would be the hardest, leaving the safety of the bathroom, stepping out into the house where every creak and shadow could betray me. My pulse raced as I imagined walking down the hallway, perhaps even encountering a neighbor or friend, and maintaining this carefully constructed persona. The thrill of the unknown, the risk of being caught, added a layer of suspense that made my legs tremble slightly. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just a moment of playful curiosity. By stealing Lily's outfit, by daring to step fully into her world, I had set in motion a chain of events that could change everything. What if someone recognized me? What if people began to see me not as Alex, but as Lily's twin? What if this persona I had created, this new, daring, feminine version of myself, took on a life of its own, beyond my control? With a final, deep breath, I pushed open the bathroom door, skirts swaying, heels clicking softly against the wooden floor. The house was still empty, but each step carried the weight of suspense, anticipation, and a thrilling uncertainty. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye, and I barely recognized the confident, poised figure staring back. The transformation was complete, and there was no turning back. Not yet. The stage was set. The thrill, the danger, and the temptation of being seen as Lily's twin were all waiting for me. I couldn't predict how others would react, and that uncertainty made my heart race. I knew one thing for certain. This day would be unforgettable, a moment of discovery, risk, and exhilarating transformation that would leave me questioning everything I thought I knew about identity, perception, and desire. As I stepped out into the hallway, the weight of my stolen persona pressed on me in ways I hadn't anticipated. Every creak of the floorboards felt amplified, each shadow in the house threatening to reveal my secret. The skirt swayed with each cautious step, the pleats brushing gently against my thighs, reminding me of the bold choice I had made. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye, and I felt a strange mixture of pride and vulnerability. I was Alex, but not quite. I was something in between, Lily's twin, her reflection mirrored in my own features. The first challenge was simple yet terrifying, moving through the house without being seen. I crept past the living room, imagining Mom or Lily walking in at any moment. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, and I had to remind myself to breathe. Each step was a careful balance between confidence and caution. The thrill of being exposed and possibly admired, intertwined with fear. What if someone caught me in this persona? What if I ruined everything? By mid-morning, I decided to take the next step. I needed to experience how the world would perceive me, not just the empty house. I slipped out the front door, careful to keep my skirts from brushing against anything that might betray my presence. The neighborhood was quiet, the streets lined with trees and distant sounds of cars and children playing. I imagined what it would be like if a neighbor saw me, if someone thought Lily had suddenly appeared elsewhere. The fantasy was intoxicating, the danger exhilarating. The first interaction came sooner than expected. Mrs. Carter, our nosy neighbor, spotted me walking down the street. "Lily," she called out, waving enthusiastically. My heart skipped a beat. Should I run? Pretend I was Lily? Or admit nothing? I forced a small wave, my fingers trembling slightly. "Morning, Mrs. Carter," I said, voice pitched carefully. Her eyes squinted slightly, searching for any hint of deception. "You're looking lovely today," she said. My pulse surged. I had managed to bluff my way through, but the tension lingered like static electricity on my skin. Back at home, I retreated to the bathroom, eager to examine my transformation in detail. The mirror revealed a figure both familiar and foreign. The pleated skirt, soft blouse, and delicate accessories created an entirely new identity. My makeup, subtle but effective, highlighted features I had never appreciated before. For a moment, I allowed myself to revel in the thrill of being seen as Lily's twin, imagining how classmates and friends would react if they saw me now. The power of perception was intoxicating, and I realized how much I craved this recognition. But the excitement was tempered by anxiety. Emma had called earlier, asking to meet after school. I had to decide, could I maintain this persona in front of her? Could I risk revealing the secret, or would I have to revert to Alex and hide the transformation once again? The thought gnawed at me, amplifying my inner conflict. By the afternoon, the suspense escalated. I returned home, careful not to be seen by anyone, and prepared to leave for school. The hallways felt different now, charged with anticipation and uncertainty. Every creak of the floor, every distant sound, seemed magnified. My reflection in the mirror caught my gaze once more. I had become a performer in my own private stage, rehearsing lines, expressions, and movements that were both foreign and exhilarating. Arriving at school, I was immediately met with whispers, glances, and astonished expressions. Friends and classmates alike seemed confused, intrigued, or both. The resemblance to Lily was uncanny. The outfit, the posture, the confidence I tried to emulate. Some students stared openly, while others whispered behind hands, trying not to be caught. I felt the thrill of attention, but also the sharp pang of fear. One wrong move, one slip of the skirt, and the illusion would shatter. The internal conflict deepened as I navigated the school halls. Each step, each glance, reminded me of the stakes. I had always enjoyed crossdressing in private, but public exposure, even if subtle, was a completely different level of vulnerability. I felt both empowered and terrified, exhilarated and exposed. Every compliment, every whisper, every intrigued glance was a double-edged sword. During lunch, the tension reached a peak. Sitting with friends at the cafeteria table, I noticed a group of classmates staring, giggling, and pointing. "Is that Alex?" someone whispered. "No, it's Lily, right?" Another voice chimed in. "They look exactly alike. Twins." My stomach flipped. I smiled nervously, trying to maintain the persona, and answered carefully, "Yeah, we're just really close." The lie felt heavy, but necessary. The thrill of being perceived as Lily's twin was addictive, yet the risk of discovery was constant. Emma arrived unexpectedly during lunch, her eyes widening as she took in my appearance. "Alex, you're wow," she said, a mixture of shock, amusement, and curiosity in her voice. I felt my pulse spike. Could I trust her reaction? Would she accept this side of me? Or would my secret unravel in front of everyone? I took a deep breath, forcing a calm smile, and explained in vague terms that I had been experimenting, trying something new. Her eyes softened, and she nodded slightly, a reassuring touch on my hand lending courage, yet the anxiety didn't fully subside. The rest of the day became a delicate dance. Every class, every interaction demanded careful control of my persona. Walking in hallways, interacting with teachers, responding to friends, I had to maintain the illusion, balancing confidence with caution. The skirt swayed with every step, a constant reminder of the persona I had stolen and the precarious position I now occupied. By late afternoon, the suspense escalated further. A group of students approached me, laughing and chatting as if I were Lily. I played along, mimicking her gestures, voice inflections, and expressions. The adrenaline coursed through me, each moment a high-stakes performance. But then came the danger. A teacher I didn't recognize stopped by, eyeing me curiously. My heart thudded. Would they realize the truth? Could I bluff my way out? The tension was unbearable, and I realized how deeply invested I had become in maintaining the illusion. Returning home, I felt a mixture of triumph and exhaustion. The thrill of successfully navigating public exposure, combined with the constant tension of potential discovery, left me drained yet exhilarated. Standing in front of the mirror once more, I allowed myself a private moment of reflection. I had stolen an outfit, but in doing so, I had uncovered something more profound, a side of myself that craved attention, experimentation, and self-expression in ways I had never allowed before. But the suspense was far from over. I knew the risks of being caught, of the illusion shattering, or of someone discovering the truth. The excitement and anxiety intertwined, a constant hum beneath every heartbeat. I felt alive in a way I hadn't imagined, and yet terrified of the consequences. The persona I had created, Lily's twin, was both empowering and dangerous, and I couldn't predict what the next day would bring. By the time Friday rolled around, the school halls had become a minefield of anticipation and anxiety. Every glance, every whisper, Every stifled laugh felt like a potential explosion threatening to reveal my secret. I had maintained the illusion for days, successfully bluffing friends, teachers, and classmates alike, but the risk of being caught grew with every passing hour. The morning started innocuously enough. I adjusted the pleats of Lily's skirt before leaving home, smoothing the fabric with trembling hands. Emma had given me a reassuring smile, but even her presence couldn't calm the storm of nerves inside me. Walking to school, I felt the stares of neighbors and passers-by like heat against my skin. Each step in the borrowed heels was a calculated risk. Every sway of the skirt reminded me of the persona I had stolen and the danger of discovery. Once I reached school, the tension escalated quickly. Students began to murmur as I passed, some whispering comparisons to Lily, others openly staring at the uncanny resemblance. A few even laughed under their breath, clearly entertained by the apparent twin act. The thrill of attention was addictive, but anxiety gnawed at me. One misstep could reveal the truth and unravel the careful persona I had crafted. During homeroom, Ms. Reynolds, our strictest teacher, entered unexpectedly. Her eyes swept the room, pausing momentarily on me. My pulse jumped, the skirt feeling impossibly tight around my waist. Her lips pressed into a thin line, her gaze uncomfortably intense. I forced myself to sit upright, smiling demurely, hoping she wouldn't notice anything amiss. She muttered something about Spirit Week and moved on, but the tension didn't leave my body. Every second felt like a delicate balancing act, like walking a tightrope above a pit of judgment and exposure. Things took a sharper turn during lunch. A group of students who had begun to notice the resemblance approached me with phones in hand. "Wait, are you Lily's twin?" one whispered. Panic surged. I forced a laugh, the skirts swaying with nervous energy. "Something like that," I murmured, hoping my vague response would satisfy their curiosity. But one of them snapped a quick photo. My stomach churned. The image could circulate, spreading the secret I had guarded so carefully. The real challenge came during gym class. We were assigned a mixed activity relay, and I had to navigate not just the physical challenge, but the constant threat of exposure. Running in a skirt was trickier than I imagined. The pleats restricted movement, and the unfamiliar heels made balance precarious. My classmates stared, some in admiration, others in disbelief, while I tried to maintain poise. The combination of exertion, adrenaline, and fear pushed me to my limits. Then came the twist. Halfway through the activity, Lily herself appeared unexpectedly. She had forgotten her lunch and had come to retrieve it, spotting me in the hallway. My heart froze, every nerve screaming. How could I explain this? How could I justify stealing her outfit and parading around as her? I was trapped, skirts swaying, makeup slightly smudged from nervous sweat. "Alex, what are you wearing?" she demanded, eyes wide with shock. The gym felt suddenly silent. My pulse raced as I realized that everything, my secret, my daring, my borrowed persona, was teetering on the edge of exposure. I opened my mouth, words failing me. The skirts felt heavier than ever, the pleats restricting not just my movement, but my ability to escape this moment unscathed. To my astonishment, Lily didn't react with anger. Instead, a slow, mischievous smile spread across her face. "Wow, you actually pulled it off. You look exactly like me." Relief and disbelief collided inside me. But even as her words reassured me, the stakes hadn't diminished. Other students had begun to notice, whispering excitedly. The risk of viral exposure loomed larger than ever. Before I could fully process the moment, Emma appeared in the doorway, her expression a mix of shock and amusement. "Alex, this is incredible," she said, eyes sparkling. But her gaze was wary, as if weighing the potential fallout. My stomach knotted again. The support was there, yes, but so was the looming threat of discovery, judgment, and the irreversible nature of what I had begun. The situation escalated further when Mr. Thompson, our vice principal, arrived unexpectedly, summoned by the rumors circulating among students. "Alex, Lily, can I speak with you two in my office?" His voice was calm but authoritative. Every step toward his office felt like walking into a courtroom, skirts swaying with anxiety. Inside, the room felt smaller, the walls closing in. "You both know the rules," he began, folding his hands on his desk. "Spirit Week is about fun, but there are limits. I need to understand exactly what's happening here." My pulse raced. This wasn't just about fun anymore. This was about control, authority, and the possibility of punishment. I struggled to find words, aware that every explanation carried the risk of exposure. Lily intervened, her tone steady yet teasing. "He's experimenting, Mr. Thompson. Just trying something new." The subtle deflection eased some tension, but the suspense remained. Every movement, every glance, felt amplified. My skirts swayed like a metronome counting down to either disaster or triumph. The symbolic moment came when I glanced in the mirror across the office. My reflection, a blend of Alex and Lily, uncertainty and confidence, fear and thrill, stared back. The skirts, the blouse, the delicate makeup, they were more than clothes. They were a threshold, a symbol of duality and risk. I realized that the persona I had stolen was no longer just a disguise. It was a statement, a transformation that had reshaped not just how others saw me, but how I saw myself. Then came the final obstacle. A phone buzzed on the desk, a notification from social media showing a photo of me, shared widely by a classmate. Panic surged. The skirts felt impossibly heavy, the pleats restricting my ability to run, to escape. My heart thundered in my chest as I realized the world had already begun to see me as Lily's twin, whether I wanted them to or not. The thrill and danger were inseparable now. Emma squeezed my hand, her touch grounding me amidst the chaos. "We'll figure this out," she whispered. But even with her support, the stakes were clear. My secret was no longer mine alone. The transformation, the thrill, the borrowed persona, it had taken on a life of its own, and there was no turning back. The photo on the school social media feed flashed across my phone screen like a warning siren. My skirts felt impossibly heavy, each pleat a reminder of the persona I had dared to steal. The caption read, "Twin alert. Is this Alex or Lily? Spotted in the halls. Exact twins." Comments poured in instantly, ranging from laughter to amazement. My heart pounded, and my palms were slick with sweat. The thrill I had chased for days had mutated into a looming crisis. Emma squeezed my hand, her touch grounding me amidst the chaos. "We'll figure this out," she whispered, but her eyes held the same worry I felt. Every notification, every like, every comment felt like a potential exposure, a nail in the coffin of the careful illusion I had maintained. My reflection in the mirror across the room seemed almost surreal. Alex? Lily? Or something in between? I couldn't tell anymore, and part of me didn't want to. Lily, standing beside me with an unreadable expression, finally broke the tense silence. "Well, I guess the secret's out," she said, her voice a mixture of amusement and caution. "You really pulled this off, Alex. But now, everyone's watching." Her words carried both praise and warning. I nodded, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or run. The vice principal cleared his throat, returning the room to rigid authority. "I understand this was meant as a fun experiment," he said, eyes scanning both of us. "But social media exposure complicates things. We need to discuss consequences tomorrow." Each word was a reminder that the stakes were no longer just playful. They were real, public, and irreversible. Outside, the chatter of classmates and the buzz of phones created a sensory overload I could barely process. I felt like a performer trapped on a stage I hadn't auditioned for, every step, every gesture under scrutiny. I could feel the weight of eyes, friends, strangers, and online viewers bearing down on me. And yet, beneath the fear, there was exhilaration. I had dared to step fully into a new identity, and the world had noticed. As the day ended and students filtered out of the school, I felt both relief and dread. Walking home with Emma beside me, I clutched the skirts nervously, aware of every sway and ripple. "Do you think anyone suspects the truth?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Emma shook her head, offering a reassuring smile. Not exactly. They see the twin act, but they don't know the whole story. That's your secret, Alex. But secrets, I realized, have a way of unraveling at the worst possible moment. The thought gnawed at me, mingling fear with excitement. The skirts had become more than clothing. They were a symbol of daring, a threshold I had crossed, and a persona that had grown beyond my control. The thrill of transformation was intoxicating, but the risk of discovery was now real and immediate. When we arrived home, Lily's room was quiet, the faint scent of her perfume lingering like a ghost. I carefully placed the outfit back where I had taken it, but the skirts and blouse seemed to hum with a life of their own, whispering promises of more daring adventures, more risky experiments. I caught a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror, and for a moment, I didn't see Alex or Lily. I saw someone else entirely, someone who had tasted the thrill of living on the edge of identity and secrecy. Then came the unexpected sound, a knock on the door. My pulse spiked. Visitors weren't scheduled, and no one had mentioned stopping by. Emma peeked around the corner, her eyebrows raised. "Who could that be?" she whispered. I froze, skirts swaying as if sensing the tension. The knock came again, louder this time. Each second stretched like an eternity. My mind raced. Could it be a teacher, a neighbor, someone who had seen the viral photo? The skirts felt heavier than ever, a constant reminder of the persona I had dared to steal. I wanted to run, to hide, to slip back into the safety of being just Alex, but the thrill of discovery, of exposure, pulsed through me with a dangerous allure. Emma placed a calming hand on my shoulder. "Whatever happens, we face it together," she said, her eyes reflecting both concern and excitement. I nodded, trying to steady my breathing, but the knock came again. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye one last time. Alex, Lily, and this hybrid persona stared back at me, a mixture of fear, thrill, and anticipation swirling in those eyes. And then, silence. The hallway seemed to hold its breath. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, and the rapid thump of my heart. The door creaked slightly, as if pushed by someone else, and I realized that my secret, my daring experiment, had only just begun to unfold. The skirts swayed with every nervous step I took toward the door, my pulse racing in sync with the sound of approaching footsteps. Whoever was on the other side held the power to unravel everything: the stolen outfit, the twin illusion, the thrill and danger I had embraced. The suspense was unbearable, yet undeniably intoxicating. As I reached for the doorknob, a final thought struck me. No matter what happened next, my life had already changed. The thrill of transformation, the blurred line between Alex and Lily, and the intoxicating danger of being discovered had awakened something in me I could never ignore. The next moment, whoever or whatever awaited behind that door would decide whether this adventure ended in exposure, embarrassment, or something even more extraordinary. And with a trembling hand, I slowly turned the knob.